In the beginning, we had nothing. We had no employees. There was a vote by the people to incorporate. There was a vote for the first city council. We were elected, and there we were, and there was nothing. So we asked King County to loan us a clerical administrator. She organized us to interview and hire the city manager. That was the first thing we had to do. We had to get someone on board who knew how to do exactly what you're asking about. We needed to get someone on board who could help us organize our thoughts about what had to come first. Do we do our contracting for police services first? Do we find a city hall? And we did all of these things, but figuring out how to stagger the work so that we weren't overwhelmed, that's where hiring a very competent city manager came into play. And that's what we did. We hired Doug Sutherland and his assistant, Fran McNair, and they organized us. He helped us get started. And it's an interesting question you ask because it was so overwhelming. None of us had ever started a city before. We had to rely heavily upon the advice of others and then on our city manager. But we also had to remain true to our own values, the things that we thought were important.
And I think as you look at your history of the employees of the city, you'll find that many of them stayed for the duration of their career and retired from the city of SeaTac. And it's because of that very positive atmosphere that was created early on. And it was a fun place to be. It was a fun place to work. And it seemed like even the most daunting, difficult issues always had a very funny side to them.
But staff were so good, they put up with all of it. I mean, they just did.
Yep.
Nobody complained. It was just incredible. It was an amazing group of people. And I think it's going to be an amazing group of people that are willing to take on to start a city. Again, cities have been created since Federal Way and SeaTac, but we were the first for a long, long time. And so to find staff that are willing to jump in with both feet and take it on, that's a different breed of person, I think.
Every Monday morning we would come into my office, and I had this big table, and we would all sit around the table and drinking our coffee and talking about, oh God, what a crazy weekend that was. and then we would sit down and start working through, okay, what's on the work list for this week.
So working at Angle Lake Elementary School was probably not ideal, right? There was no central air, no air conditioning. There was a boiler system in the basement. So it wasn't the best conditions, right? But what I loved about going to work was this camaraderie, this common purpose, everybody was just so friendly and supportive of each other. It truly felt like a family environment. And I remember the city manager, even in October of 1990, was still having citywide staff meetings, like all staff in meetings in a conference room, because we still could do that. And one of the other things he really loved to do was to go around on payday and hand everyone their check individually and thank you for doing such a good job, thank you for being here, putting that real family personal touch on it.
We had tons of hats. I would be covering the front desk, or Marlon would be covering the front desk, or Marlon or Gwen would be covering the front desk. And then when it came down to maintenance, we all had a job to do, vacuuming and cleaning bathrooms and taking the trash out and things of that nature, because we didn't have anybody contracted yet, and then we didn't have a staff yet. So, but I would do it all over again. I would do everything all over again, because we bonded as a group. And I think that when I look down in the past, the core, I think, was developing there. And the reason why I say that is because we're still here. You know, Marlon, Gwen, and myself, we're still here. And we incorporated a work ethic, and we passed it down to other staff because we know what it takes to get a department together. Particularly what I'm trying to say is that we work together, and I can't do my job unless you do your job, and you can't do your job unless we're all in it together. We're one.
I feel like we had a lot of camaraderie and helping each other in the early days of cityhood, and that has remained today. And I think that that's why that I still have a lot of strong friendships and bonds, even with people who no longer work here, and some that do. I think when you're working to serve the public and you have integrity and your heart is into public service, and you can see the difference that you're making in the community, it bonds you because you do have that common goal. We don't sell anything. We don't make anything, but we serve people, and we're trying to make this community a better place. I'll use our tagline, to live, work, and play, right? That's true, and it always has been. I've seen many councils come and go over the 33 years. I've worked for many different city managers, and that remains true. Maybe there's differences on how to accomplish what they want, but everybody just wants this to be the best city. So it's a common goal that brings us together and makes us such a good team.